G'day, everybody. How's it going out there? So the Good Furry Awards are coming up. You have until tomorrow to vote. Sorry for the short notice. But if you did vote in them before, make sure that your vote didn't get tossed and that you have to revote. And I made a full article about this, and there'll be a link in the description below if you want to read instead of listen to the Roo ramble, as always. So there's a link in the description, and you can go to that article. But basically, what had happened is a contender, a nominee for the Good Furry Awards, was let go, and basically anyone who voted for that person can get revoted, and there's been a whole sort of controversy around this. And I think it's an important controversy to discuss and was warranted discussion because I think that it does have some sort of emulation within within our mainstream and within even like human spaces. And the idea is that the Good Furry Awards is awards by a grizzly bear, by a Mr. Grizzly. And Grub, I think they call him himself Grubs Grizzly, I believe his name was. And he basically created this thing called the Good Furry Awards. And basically he allows people, it's sort of like the Ursa Majors, but for good boys and girls in the fandom. They are supposed to nominate people that you think are worthy of accolade within the fandom for their good contributions. They nominate them. He puts the nominees up for vote in his awards, and then basically whoever wins, and he's got like different categories. I think there's like a handful of different categories, and you would vote on them, and you would basically, whoever gets that gets a little award and a little placard. So it's very much like the Ursa Majors, only for not for creation of content, but for content of character. Allegedly. Now, the reason I say allegedly is because it is very much like the Ursa Majors. Anyone can go in, anyone can come out, anyone can get voted on, people can get voted on, and as you know from the history of the Ursa Majors and my talking about it, there can definitely be shenanigans and weird things that happen and weird people that win. And I write an article about short animated works every year now, furry animated shorts every year. I write an article about it because of shenanigans that happened in one year, because I felt that like not enough people were voting based on like quality of the content, but because the person was campaigning really well. And same here, just because someone may or may not be good and they can, run the votes by getting like their fan base, their avid fan base, to vote for them, whether they are good or playing good or just want to be seen as good. And I talk about that in the article a bit. But the incident in question happens around a person called Taxx Ratt, a furry from New Jersey, who promoted the awards when they were nominated. And they said, hey, I got nominated. So on a Blue Sky social post, which you can see on the screen right now, and I put it on my face for whatever reason, so I'm going to shift it over. Yeah. Anyways, stage left. But got nominated for a furry award. I'm up against a Nazi sympathizer and an AI user, so please vote for me for Fantastic Person. If I win, I'll donate the money to Cedar Run, which is like a local support group. So basically there's like a prize pool of like $250, I think. You get $250 for winning, and they were just going to donate that. So that was their post on July 1st. And then on July 9th, a week later, a little over a week later, Taxx Ratt replies with, laugh my freaking ass off. I got kicked from the ballot this year for this post. F Nazis, F those who support Nazis, and F those who use AI. So apparently the nominee that they were referring to was one Shy Matzi, a furry, also from New Jersey, who was related to Garden State FurCon. And you know what else is on the Good Furry Awards? Forget about it. the convention that was the spite convention of Garden State FurCon. We covered that previously in this thing as well. I don't remember when it was. It's in the list. You'll see like the hedge maze on the thumbnail. But basically, we've covered the Garden State versus Forget About It in New Jersey. But what I'm noticing here is there's a lot of like New Jersey in here. Is the Good Furry Awards based in New Jersey or something, or is like talked about a lot in New Jersey, or do people from New Jersey just want to like be seen as good for once? Because New Jersey in America has a reputation of being like one of the most hated states. It is, and unfortunately, like that's how like this thing goes. Like it's like, is that it? It's like, is it the Good Furry, the best furry in New Jersey? I've been to New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey for a year. Do I count? No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. They can have it. I'll do good things even if there's no award for it. And I think, the article that I wrote concludes that basically it's like you need to do good things not for award or for recognition or for money or for likes and subscribes and social media metrics. You have to do goodness for goodness sake, not for things like this, because things like this can be manipulated by people who run them, right? And the people who run them may or may not be good people themselves. They are flawed human beings and they can show flaws. And that being said, is the second part that I kind of cover is the reason that the Good Furry Awards claimed that they had removed Taxx Ratt was not due to this post of mudslinging or muckraking at their opponents and throwing dirt at them. The reason that they decided to basically remove them for the awards is that they alleged that Taxx Ratt had ballot stuffed, and of course they did the rare thing and talked to the person at Taxx Ratt. It's like, hey, like, did you ballot stuff or do anything like that? And they're like, obviously they declined that. They said, no, I didn't. If anyone was doing that, then then it was on their own fruition. Now, what I'll say is this: if the Good Furry Awards wants to make a rule about no muckraking your opponents, in other words, not slandering them, propagandizing against them, saying nasty things about them in comments and social media, to try to get people to stir up votes for that, that's fine. Just present that as a thing from the get-go going forward, right? Present that as a thing. And they haven't done that. They instead, pushed on the ballot stuffing thing. So the warning, so this is the update. They go, voting is open from July 1st to August 24th. Tomorrow, by the way, so get on that if you want to vote for this stuff or if you want to have a say in this stuff. I'd say you may only submit one form. If you submit more than one form, all your votes will be discounted. You may vote only one person in each category. You can vote in 2 or 3 categories. To read why the following people were nominated, click the following link, and if you click on that link, it goes to the nominations page. He obviously removed Taxx from that page. I did get a capture of the Internet Archive of Taxx's thing, and I did post the quote of that on the article about Taxx's entry and nomination page. That's now removed. Basically, it goes, warning, ballot box stuffing will result all your votes being tossed into the garbage bin, set on fire, turned into ash, and used as to fertilize the trees in Israel. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And, of course, in the article, I have to cover why that phrase is a bit freaking weird to use on a Good Furry Awards thing. If you're angry about ballot stuffing, he could have, so here's the thing. If he's obviously passionate about his awards, and that is fine. But clearly, from the word Israel and onward, it's there's a lot of painting going on here, and it doesn't paint a great picture, especially for furries who tend to be a bit more on the progressive side and see things like fertilizing the trees as Israel. They could easily interpret that as jingoistic language. In other words, propaganda-ish / pro-Israel language that is militant in sort of read, if you don't know what jingoistic means. That basically, it seems like a very pro-Israel thing, which for many progressive furries, they see Israel as a sort of, a state that does harmful things to its neighbors unintentionally and is genocidal, right? Now, and so in the article, what I state in the article first and foremost is like, I'm a random Westerner who is a part of a furry fandom that is like far and away from the, like, has no reason to get involved in that conflict. Obviously I have opinions on it, but it's like everyone has opinions on that conflict. Everyone has passions about that conflict for very particular reasons. And it's like, but it's not the place and time to do that here, right? There's a time and a place, but this is neither the time nor the place, right? To talk about what a state should and shouldn't be, what is, genocides versus defending versus all that stuff, right? And it's a very precarious and a very tough topic, even in the best of times, to talk about stuff like that. This is not that time. And on top of that, you have the thank you for your attention to this matter, which is like a big freaking red flag going like, woo! Like, thank you for your attention in this matter. For anybody who's in any contact on any social media or anything whatsoever and knows about modern politics, knows that thank you for your attention to this matter is a phrase that has, for the past several months, been used by the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, to basically act as a sign-off for his statements on social media that usually are basically executive orders via tweet or via Trump truth post or whatever they call it over there. Like the whole idea of like, and the whole idea and the concept that has been written on, it's like, well, this matches what he believes, is that from his tongue to their ears to their hands, like, you have no say in this matter. Thank you for your attention, because that's all I'm allowing you to have in this matter. I'm not letting you have any agency. I'm not letting you have any protest. I'm not letting you have anything. Thank you for your attention. Yes, good boy. Thank you for paying attention to me. Like, that is very much how his thank you for your attention to this matter comes off as most of these executive post via or executive order via internet thing happens, right? And I talk about how, Donald Trump has used internet and social media as a means to circumvent a lot of the traditional institutions and things that our forefathers had fought and died to create and maintain and have a good sense of. This is how things are officially done in this role. You're not just a random citizen spewing things from on high on your soapbox. You have a official way of doing things. And unfortunately, as executive orders have become more abused over time, not necessarily only Trump's fault. A lot of previous executives were moving things in this direction anyway. Like, that is another huge red flag. It's like, so basically, if I were to rewrite this warning, I would have said, like, ballot box stuffing was all your votes being tossed into the garbage bin, set on fire, turned into ash and used to fertilize trees. Like, and put the period there and, like, strike the rest of it. Because, like I don't, like, because it's like, here's the problem that Grubbs runs into is that, many furries are very wary of Grubbs and him having right-wing beliefs. Even though if you look at Grubbs' social media page, he clearly is not a Trump fan. So why he would use a Trump line like this is weird. Like, if I don't like somebody, I'll find a different phrase. Like, I don't want to take anything that has anything to do with him. Language and things are fluid. Pick something else. Like, it's like... And on top of that, and this is the thing I didn't get into in the article, and this is, I guess, my final say on it, is that if you are going to use quote-unquote ballot stuffing as the intent or the thing that can get someone disqualified, that means if some random furry, like if I said I don't want this furry to be on the ballot as an individual, what I can do is I can just go find a group of people to quote-unquote ballot stuff the person I don't want winning a furry award, and then basically that person's going to flood the zone with a vote, and then saying like, and then basically, Grubbs might interpret that as like, oh, this person who's getting all these votes all of a sudden is ballot stuffing. They must be, because they're getting a ton of votes that I don't understand. And that's a problem because then the votes can be manipulated by people who are not so good, right? And that's another problem with awards that are surrounding goodness. One of the things I note in the article is that, like, goodness is usually not an award that is given in the human domain. Like, there is no human award that I can think of as like the good human award, the good person award. Now, most awards are given to people who are good at something or good or do things that society sees as good, but they're usually focused on a task or an idea or things like that. The closest thing I could come up with was the Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, right? But even that, it's like, this person is working towards peace. This person has done a good thing to move towards peace. It's not necessarily that this person is a good person, but most people see a person who's working towards peace as a good person. Most people say that, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that the person working towards peace is a good person. It's just that they did something that moved things towards peace. And I give two big examples of how that award has been sort of co-opted because of its closest to a good award for quote unquote goodness or seen as goodness. And that is what Trump did this year with the person who, won it from Venezuela and basically tried to, get her to bequeath him the award this year. And even before that, Obama won the Peace Prize for his campaign of hope and change in 2008 and ended up obviously, becoming the president of the United States. And as the president of the United States, who has powers over our war materials in the United States, clearly Obama is now going to have to fulfill his role as commander-in-chief of our military. And obviously what ended up happening is we had gotten to the Libya conflict, right? And, and so like, and, a bunch of drone stuff, right? And so like Obama didn't end up being like a quote unquote super peaceful president. He did have his skirmishes and his conflicts and the things that he used the military for. And people can agree or disagree whether that was worth it, but anyone can agree that it's like, taking out a leader of a country is not a very peaceful action, right? Which is why, like, even the person who won in Venezuela this year is kind of a bit sus in that regard too, because it's like she seemed to be on board with bequeathing her award to Donald Trump after he had taken out the leader of Venezuela, and it's like, did she like make a deal with him? It's like, hey, if you remove this leader that I don't like from our country, then I will give you the Peace Prize award. It seems a very Trumpian thing to do, and like, so, that's sort of my like tinfoil hat of that scenario. But either way, it's like, it shows how even though good awards exist, it's not always good people that are going to go for those awards. And it is useful sometimes, like, but looking back at the history of the Good Furry Awards, like, there's only like maybe one that I can definitely discern is this person definitely just pushed themselves in and got the award, even though like they might not be the best person. In looking at things nowadays, and there's been maybe there's more, but I'm not. Like, I honestly don't like read the awards for these all that much. I don't put too much weight on them. And because to me, especially after, Grubbs put his hand in the pot and decided to, change the pot based on his feelings, not based upon, and his feelings that the ballots were stuffed or his feelings that he didn't like the muckraking that Taxx was doing. I really think that this shows that he has the veto power. He is the executive of what a good furry is. And if he has that decision-making power more than any other voters do, then why even bother making it a vote? Why not just Grubbs decides who's the good furry, right? Because he doesn't want to seem that egotistical, but he will tip the scales, but he won't like do it. He was like, oh, you guys decided. It's like, not this year we didn't. If the people who decided Taxx and don't want to vote on anyone else, they certainly couldn't get a decision. That's the problem that we run into, is that this is not the Good Furry Awards, in my opinion now. This is who does Grubs Grizzly see as one of the good ones in furry, right? That turn of phrase. You know, who would you invite to the barbecue on the opposite side? Because it does happen on the opposite side too. You know what I said. So that being said, like, if you're either one of the good ones or going to get invited to the barbecue, there are people who are having their weight on the scales of that decision making and judgment. And as I said in previous videos, and I'll leave it off at this, you know, human beings, very bad at judgment. We haven't gotten control over the concept of judgment yet. Very much a tricky thing to measure and to make sure that the bad things aren't happening because of bad judgment, right? We had all these gods of fire and earth and water and wind, and we learned to at least mitigate those elements to some degree to help us, you know, power our modern life and our infrastructure. But judgment is definitely the big one, and that's why a lot of monotheistic religions, in my opinion, have judgments, have gods of pure judgment, of ultimate judgment, of great judgment, of pure information judgment, of good and evil, and being able to discern right to the heart of the matter instead of all this gray area stuff that we have to deal with in the real world. That's my feelings as to why a lot of people a lot of us look to outside information and hope and prayer and desire to have a better sense of judgment on good and evil and what people are acting in good and what people are acting in evil, because we don't have it. And even if you try to make an award to try to help steer people towards being good, as soon as they have that award, what's going to motivate? Because if they're motivated by an award, why would they continue to be good? Try to be good. They got the award. They can do whatever. Which is why, in my opinion, these kind of things should be kind of posthumous. But no, can't have it be posthumous. Got to have people awarded in their real lifetimes, whether it's Peace Prize or whether it's the Good Furry Award. I honestly think it should be, like, it has to be posthumous, because it's like, what motivation is there to be good if death ends your motivation? Like, if people are going to judge you after you die, it's better than judging you while you live, and then you could change, because change happens. But anyways, rambling aside, if you want to vote on the Good Furry Awards, you have till tomorrow. Otherwise, we're good. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Kick that like, kick the subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section, and that'll be it for this one. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.